Motoring 2010 on TSN is brought to you by Quaker State, Real Durable Oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.
As we mentioned before, the recent financial crisis in the automotive world has really focused on the domestics, although the imports have had their worries too, including the world's largest manufacturer, Toyota. Sales have been down, red ink on the books, the most massive recall in the company's history. Well, this week we're in beautiful Muskoka in northern Ontario to check out Toyota's new truck lineup and also find out how the company is bearing up to receiving something it's received little of in the past. And that is criticism.
Well, I think trucks are the next profit center. We know that cars have a very, very low profit margin, particularly in Canada. Prices are very low for the vehicles. Trucks are the last sort of profit center. There's more markup in a truck than there is in a car.
Of course we are the hybrid company, but you cannot be a full-line auto manufacturer, and particularly not in North America, unless you're servicing the truck marketplace as well. There remains a very genuine, hardcore market for body-on-frame trucks. These are vehicles that are meant to work, or they're meant to go off-road, or they're meant to tow, or to do a specific job.
You know, since day one, Toyota always wanted to be #1 in the world. Well, they've achieved that goal. But today, the best-selling vehicles in North America are still pickup trucks, General Motors and Ford. The question is, does Toyota see the day when its own Tundra will be king of the hill?
They want Tundra to be #1, but they've got a long ways to go. Let's go back to the company in general. They want it to be #1. They want all their products to be #1. Now, the way I see it, between Ford and GM, they've got a long ways to go to get to that level. The Tundra is a good truck, but it's a good truck compared to a 4 or 5 year old North American product. It's not a good truck compared to the new. They don't have the large towing capacity or the gross vehicle weight rating that a Ford does. They're not quite as comfortable as a Chevy. They don't have as extensive a dealer network.
Today, Toyota is the #1 car brand in Canada's major cities. But trucks, and particularly the body-on-frame trucks, find their biggest markets outside of those major cities. So it's a big part of our growth strategy for the future as well.
There's still a feeling in the western provinces that you don't buy a Tundra because there's no place to get it serviced, because there's only dealers in the cities. There's also brand loyalty. There are people that would literally drop dead before they'll sell their Ford or their Chev. And that kind of loyalty does not change overnight, and I don't care how many NASCAR races you win.
One of the things we've been saying to ourselves all the while that the company's been growing is you have to avoid some of the things that other companies have gone through with that sort of creeping big company disease. And what the past year has done is it's reminded everybody of the importance of just getting down to basics, paying attention to first to the customer, secondly to your dealer network, and more importantly to the development of the sorts of products that consumers are looking for today and are going to be looking for in the next few years.
You know, with everybody guessing as to what the fuel of the future will be, many people believe, including yours truly, that clean diesel is the answer. But you know, Toyota, they've been making trucks since the 70s. In this new lineup, no diesel.
Their diesels that are here today are really no cleaner than the average gasoline vehicle. Even with all the after-treatment technology and the new technologies to help clean up the emissions, the smog-forming emissions, they're only able to get as clean as the average gasoline vehicle.
I happen to think that you can't count the diesel guys out. Yes, they only meet the existing standards. They haven't figured out how to meet the high standards that are going to go in 2016. But the one thing we know is that these huge investments in diesel engines aren't going to go away.
There's one powertrain for the 4Runner. It's a 4-liter V6, and the big enhancement is on the breathing section. So what is incorporated is variable valve timing on the intake and the exhaust side. So having this system in place allows the engine to breathe a lot more effectively, and now we see a 34 horsepower increase over the previous 4-liter and 12 pound-feet of torque. At the same time, with more power, we also get improved fuel consumption, so 5% improvement in fuel economy. We had a 4.7 liter V8 before. With this new enhanced 4 liter V6, now we have 10 more horsepower over that engine.
You know, it's a slow building process, but we're seeing each year trucks becoming a more important part of our lineup.
What's it going to take to get you into a car tonight? Well, Mr. Car Salesman, a lot more than that. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
In this business, it's all about product, and Kia is in the middle of a revolution. By the time it's all over in 2012, the company will have replaced every vehicle in its lineup. On this edition of Test Drive, the Kia Sorento. Now, this thing has gone from body-on-frame boonie basher to full-on crossover. The reason the new Sorento is going to succeed is its balanced approach, and it all starts with the powertrain. The base Sorento arrives with a 175 horsepower 2.4 litre four-cylinder that's more for the economy-minded. The up-level 3.5 litre V6, well, it's a delight. It delivers 276 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque. The use of variable valve timing on both the intake and exhaust cams then spreads the motivation out over a broader range while improving fuel economy and cutting emissions. One of the advantages of this new Sorento is the fact that you can buy as little or as much as you want. Now, if you happen to go to the little end, you actually get quite a lot. Power locks, windows, mirrors, cruise control, heated seats and air conditioning are all standard equipment, as well as Bluetooth. Now, if you go to the other extreme, you end up with this vehicle. It also comes with a panoramic sunroof, much nicer Infinity audio system. You'll also find leather seats, and for once, well, the materials, they're better than you expect. A big part of the reason the Sorento 6 feels so alive at the bottom end has to do with the 6-speed manumatic transmission. With first gear being 4.5 to 1, it hauls the 1,874 kilogram Sorento off the line with authority, and it maintains this thrust on through the mid-range. This explains the quick 0 to 100k time of 7.2 seconds. The downside is that whenever the manual mode is engaged, the transmission automatically shifts down into 5th gear. At speeds over 80 kilometers an hour, the downshift is both unnecessary and annoying. Why not let the driver make the choice? After all, that's what the manual side is supposed to be all about. This Sorento comes with plenty of space and utility. Now, with the third row seat up, you only get about 9 cubic feet of cargo space, but the good news is this seat is usable. Not for a long time, but it's usable. If you fold it flat, which is that simple, you open up 37 cubic feet of cargo space, and if you fold the second row flat, that number grows to 72.5 cubic feet. Now, there are two things I would have liked to have seen. First of all, a fold flat front passenger seat. That would allow you to carry a longer item inside the vehicle with the tailgate closed. That is a safety consideration. The second thing, this glass should open independently of the tailgate. It does not. The smart Sorento shopper will option up to the all-wheel drive model. Under normal circumstances, the system sends 95% of the drive to the front wheels and 5% to the rear. The twist, and the reason it's worth investing in, is that the system monitors throttle position as well as individual wheel spin. This means that the system is proactive as it sees when the driver mats the gas from a standstill. This separates it from the slip-first, grip-later systems as the central clutch is closed before wheel spin is allowed to occur. Now, that basic all-wheel drive ability is layered with electronic and traction control systems. If this wheel starts to spin, it applies the brakes, which tricks the differential into driving the wheel that's actually got traction. Beyond that, the electronic nannies also have a number of other handy features. Downhill assist, hill start assist, which is very helpful if you're towing a trailer, and roll mitigation. It monitors the vehicle. If it's in danger of rolling, it tries to correct it. If the vehicle's reached the point of no return, well, it then pre-tensions the seat belts and drops the side curtain airbags, which readies everybody and everything for the big bang. As for the rest of it, the feel and feedback from the steering is well above the SUV norm and the brakes are strong. Ditto the suspension. In the case of the up-level EX, it is firm enough to control unwanted body motion and deliver a decent ride. The 235/60R18 tyres also deliver more lateral grip, which pushes understeer out to the point where it's a non-issue. However, if you like a softer ride, the Sorento LX and its 235/65R17 tyres is the better choice. The taller sidewall profile does take a little edge off the handling, but it certainly softens up the ride. It would be very easy to overlook this Sorento and dismiss it as just another in the growing legion of crossovers. However, spend some time behind the wheel and you learn it has considerable merit. It's got 4-cylinder and V6 engines, the latter being the better choice, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and again, all-wheel drive being the better choice. If you go with the LX, you get an awful lot of equipment. If you option up to the EX, well, you get a fully loaded vehicle for less than $40,000, and it's that seals its appeal.
Time to update our long-term Subaru Outback, winner of our crossover under $40,000 category in our Car of the Year program. Now, you know, a lot of people that buy the Outback are the outdoorsy type. They appreciate the full-time all-wheel drive, the added ground clearance, and also the utility found on top. And here's Graham to explain.
This Outback comes with a very clever twist. Now what happens here? You've got no roof rail, so how do you carry a canoe? The answer is surprisingly simple. You simply unlatch this side, you unlatch that side, click them in, put the canoe on the top, away you go. When you finish canoeing, you simply reverse the process. Lock that one in over there, this one in over here, and you're done. The advantage, when you need the roof rails, you have them. When you don't need the crossbars, well, you don't have the wind noise that they so often cause. Sometimes it's the little ideas that make the biggest difference.
This is fun. This is big. This is a Formula One in a very small area. How do you feel? Do you get nervous?
Sure, the barriers feel quite close when you've got just under 900 brake horsepower under your right foot, but luckily the brakes work well, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great opportunity for the fans here to get really close to the Formula One car and taste Formula One.
Make sure you check out the motoring website at motoringtv.com. You can watch any program you may have missed. In fact, how about a trip down memory lane and see what we were driving as far back as 1988. Check out our blog, our photo gallery, and much more. It's all there at motoringtv.com.
It's one of those nice things to do as a company. Otherwise, these engines probably would have been recycled or scrapped. They were never deemed to go into a production vehicle, so they're what we call non-saleable vehicles. So again, here's a great alternative to help students develop their skills and again lead to a career tomorrow.
For us, it's important because we want to make sure that the kids are working with the most relevant materials, the most up-to-date car parts and engines. You know, it's all well and good to take apart, you know, relics, but they also need to know the most, up-to-date information. So that's part of why this partnership is important, so that we can put the company together with our school and make sure that our kids are working on the most up-to-date products.
The new 4Runner, like all Toyota trucks, is based on a body-on-frame chassis, although Toyota says most of the competition is going towards uni-body. So the question is, what is the difference? And is Toyota correct in bucking a trend? Let's put that question to our man in the Quaker State garage, Bill Gardner.
Hey Brad, we could stand here all day and debate the points and counterpoints, the advantages, disadvantages of both types of construction. Unibody has some distinct advantages, body on frame has some too. And to me, it all boils down to the scale of vehicle that you're talking about and what makes sense for that vehicle. And let's face it, all the manufacturers, GM, Ford, Chrysler, Nissan, and Toyota, they all have full-size pickup trucks, and in most cases, their full-size SUV is loosely based on that body-on-frame construction that is used in the full-size pickup truck. Look at our Yukon, for example. If you look at the front of it, it looks just like an 02 full-size pickup truck until you get back to here. That's where the differences take place. The body on frame is the best and most rugged construction. It's the best for towing and hauling, mounting a trailer hitch, or mounting different body types if you're talking about a work truck. Now, with a unibody construction, what you've done is you've basically taken this metal box that's your body of the vehicle, you've taken it off the chassis, you gusset it and reinforce it in those critical areas where the powertrain mounts, where the suspension mounts. You, in some cases, add a subframe to carry your powertrain, and now you've got what we call a unibody construction. It's strong and it's light, and there's advantages to that. It works well for smaller vehicles, and a perfect example is the smaller Toyota SUVs like the RAV4 and the Highlander. And some of these smaller SUVs are loosely derived from unibody cars. So that makes sense. Where I'm having a bit of a problem is when we get up to the 4Runner, we've got the body on frame, we've got the rugged construction, we get all the advantages, the tow haul advantages, mounting that powertrain up inside the frame rails for protection. We've got the rugged, durable construction, but we've only got a 5,000 pound tow rating. 5,000 pounds sounds like a lot. It's 2.5 tons, but you know what? When you talk to RV guys, bigger is better when it comes to trailers. They're always wanting to move up, and those guys want V8 engines and turbo diesels in the powertrain. You don't have that with a 4Runner. Great vehicle, I'm sure, but you know what? For towing and hauling, they've got another great vehicle. In fact, two of them in the Sequoia full-size SUV and the Tundra pickup. Both come with bigger V8 engines. The Tundras, you've got choice of 2 V8s, and they're great powertrains. And you know what? If you were hauling an RV through the mountains in British Columbia, boys, you want the V8, believe me, and you want some more headroom on your gross vehicle weight and your combined vehicle weight rating. You want to have way more capability than you need when you're driving in the mountains. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2010.
Zenvo Sports Car is the first ever Danish car project. It's a supercar. It's got 1,104 horsepower, does 375 kilometers an hour, 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. The price is 850,000 euro. It's designed and built in Denmark, which is quite unique. The design is being based on what we believe is a new interpretation of Danish design tradition. We talk about design continuity as the main thing about the car. That means that the elements of the car and the lines of the car are very continuous all around the car, so that the front, side and rear has a lot of connection. The overall goal of the car, of the project, was to make a car that was everyday drivable. So whether or not you want to go down picking up a newspaper in the car, or whether you want to go highway speeding, it's easy drivable car. The inspiration of the design is taking starting point in predators sitting in the grass waiting to attack their prey. Also, we looked a bit into Star Wars. I mean, this white and black image is very much sort of Stormtrooper Star Wars. But the continuity of the design and the simplicity of the surfaces is what makes it Danish, and what is the Danish root of the design.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2010 is brought to you by the most fuel-efficient crossover on the highway, the all-new Chevy Equinox.
Now, cash for clunker programs have been implemented by governments and by car companies to move product. The government's perspective is new cars are more environmentally friendly, and therefore you should buy a new car. Now, Ford has just introduced a program whereby they'll give you up $3,500 for cars that are 2003 and older. So wait a minute, that's not old. I mean, my car is a 2003. It's got 200,000 K on it. It looks like brand new. It gets fantastic gas mileage, and it's all the car I could possibly need. Why would I even trade that thing even up for a new Ford, let alone for $3,500? I mean, do I need a little blue light that comes on and says, your car is cold? I don't care about that. I only need to know when the temperature gauge tells me your car is too hot. Do I need another 9 airbags in my car? No, I wear my seatbelt. It's all good. So why are we doing these things? I don't know. I mean, from the car company's point of view, the idea is move product. I understand. That's their job to convince you to buy a new car. Part of my job is to tell you what those new cars are like, but it's not my job to tell you need to buy a new car. Because from my perspective, I've got a great 2003 car. If you want me to buy a new Ford, you're going to have to work a lot harder than that. I'm Jim Kenzie.
We began this week checking out Toyota's new truck lineup, as well as addressing Toyota's quality issues and how the company is responding to them. As for the 4Runner, well, the consensus is, yes, this vehicle is improved with lots of new goodies, but they do come at a price. Even the base model may be best in class, but that's still a lot of dough. Now, as for the recall issues, well, needless to say, it's been very troubling, not only for Toyota, but also for the people buying the product. But as the company looks to the future, it hopes to live up to its own slogan, and that is to make things better. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
It may not be politically correct, but it was a wonderful engine. I mean, it's, 420 horsepower. It goes like snot. I mean, it's quite wonderful. I mean, and they claim it uses 1.5 less liters per 100 kilometers than the old engine, so maybe we can have our cake and eat it too.
Motoring 2010 on TSN has been brought to you by Quaker State, real durable oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.